This is a guided walkthrough for the Agent CTF challenge from the VulNyx network. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we need to do when we do any of these CTF box challenges is we need to scan for open ports on the target. So in order to do that, we're going to run this Nmap program over here. So the Nmap program is going to let us know what networking ports are open on this target. We needed to supply a IP address, and the IP address is this right here, 10.02.82. We got that from the information on the virtual machine box. Okay, so Nmap, we're going to run it with the following arguments. We're going to run it against all ports with -p-. We're going to run it with 4 threads, which is very fast but not too fast, with -t4. We're going to run it very verbose, which means we get output before the scan is done with this argument here, -vv. And we're going to run common scripts and versioning information by running it with this flag, -s, c, and v. Okay, so let's run the Nmap scan. So immediately the program finds that there are 2 ports open on the system. We find port 22 and we find port 80. So in a second, the scan comes back, and let's take a look at what these services are. So port 22, this is running the SSH service, which is basically remote terminal login to a remote server, and it's running the OpenSSH software with version 9.2. So on port 80, it's running the HTTP protocol, which is basically web pages, and it's running with Nginx software version 1.22.1. Okay, so basically we have this port to enumerate here. So this is a web port, and what we're going to do is we're going to find out a little bit more information about this particular web page. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this program here, which is called derb, and we're going to run it against the web port. So it's going to be, the IP address is 10.02.82, and this program is going to try to figure out what endpoints exist on the system. It's got so derb has a kind of limited list of words or endpoints that it's going to scan against as far as this web page is concerned, this website is concerned, and it's going to try to figure out which ones exist. So it was able to find some different endpoints here. So it found index.html, which is quite common, but it also found this directory here called Websvn, which is not super common. So it found a bunch of stuff inside the Websvn directory here as well. But what is Websvn? So we're gonna learn a little bit more about this. So over here, this is Websvn version control software. So what is Websvn? It is a web-based version control system which allows users to collaborate on software projects and track software version history. So what we can do now is we can actually navigate to this directory and take a look at the software ourselves. So we're going to open up a new tab, and then we're going to navigate over to the IP address, and we're going to go to the Websvn directory. So we've got a bunch of so this is the application interface over here. Subversion repositories. Okay, this is if we wanted to, we could probably investigate how this application works. But in this case, we see here that there is the name of the application as well as a version number. So whenever we find a piece of software, the name of a piece of software, as well as a version number, we might be able to find some exploits that exist for that particular version number of the software. What we do is we copy the version number as well as the software name, and then we go over to our terminal, and in the terminal, we're going to use this program. So the program is called Searchsploit, and Searchsploit is connected to a website called the Exploit Database. And the Exploit Database is basically a big repository of different exploits available for different software versions. So we're going to search inside the database here for Websvn version 2.6.0. So when we do that, it's going to find this exploit right here, which is called remote code execution unauthenticated. So this basically means that we can run commands on the underlying server, and we don't need to be logged in to do so. So this is actually a very serious type of software vulnerability. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy the exploit script over to our current directory. So what we're going to do is we're going to run searchsploit again, but we're going to run it with the -m parameter, and then we're going to copy the exploit number here. So the exploit number is this. We're going to run the command. So we've got our exploit over here for the Websvn version 2.6.0. So this is a Python script over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to exploit the system by running the Python script here. So when we run the Python script, so usage is -h target. Okay, so that means what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to provide this to the command, -h and the target. So the target is going to be the HTTP page. So it's going to be 10.02.80. Is it 83? Wait, let me check. So this is 82. Okay. So 82. And the directory is going to be Websvn. Okay. So after that, we're going to give this command again, and we're going to see if we can exploit the target. Okay, so send a payload to the Websvn 2.6.0 server. Target, oh, okay. So we don't need to provide the -h, we just provide the target. Great. Okay, so it looks like the exploit script didn't go through. So I'm going to try giving this trailing slash over here for the directory, and we'll see if it works in this case. Okay, so let's run the Python exploit script again. It looks like what we need to do is we need to take a look at the Python script here. There might be something that I'm missing, so I'm going to nano into it, and let's take a look. So let's see. Okay. So we need to change up the payload in this exploit. So in the exploit, it's going to send out a reverse shell to a specific IP address. So we're going to replace the IP address with our own attacker box IP address. So it's going to be 0.10.0.222. We're going to include a port number, and in this case, I like to use the port 443. After that, we're going to save out the file, and then we're going to start a netcat listener. So over in another tab, we're going to start up a bash shell, and then we're going to start up a netcat listener. So the netcat listener is going to be on port 443. So now that we have a listening netcat listener, we're going to go back to the exploit script, and we're going to run it again. So when we run this exploit script, it should send a reverse shell connection to our machine, and we should be on the box. So we run the exploit script, and then we go over to our netcat listener, and we got a connection. Okay, so cannot set terminal process group in an appropriate blah 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 for device. No job control in the shell. But when we ask who am I, it says we are www.data, which means that we're in. So we need to do our typical bit. We need to put on our voice changer.
Hey everybody, this is Scary Hacker Voice Guy. Scary Hacker Voice Guy comes on every time we compromise a server and we break in. So I have to give my speech. All right, everybody, this is Scary Hacker Voice Guy. You fools, you decided to have Websvn on your server. Well, Websvn is very old and it is very vulnerable to software exploits. But you decided to accept that risk. Well, you accepted that risk and now? Now we're in. All right.
Everybody, now we're in. Okay, everybody, so now we're in. Now we have to figure out how to escalate our privileges on the system. So the first thing I like to do when I arrive on any when we break into any server is we like to give this command right here, sudo-l, to find out if our current user has any sudo permissions on the system. So we see that this user, www.data, may run the following commands on agent, which is this box. As the Dustin user with no password, they can run user bin C99. So what is this C99 binary that we have sudo permissions with? Let's learn a little bit more about this. So privilege escalation, sudo C99. The C99 program is a C compiler that provides a consistent way to compile C programs in a way that adheres to the C99 standard. So apparently, C programs have to be compiled with different standards. I did not know this, but this is how they do it through these different binaries here. So if we can run the C99 program with sudo, we can escalate our privileges if we use a command like this example above. So we can run the C99 program with a wrapper, which could be any other binary here. In this case, we're specifying bin sh, which is a shell program, and we're using this -s. I'm not too sure what this does. It gives us a shell is what it does. And let's run this command and get a shell and escalate our privileges. So it's going to be sudo-u Dustin because we have sudo with this user. And then we're running C99 with the wrapper. I'm going to do bin bash. And we need to do comma -s dot. Okay. So from here, if we ask who are we, who am I, it says we're the Dustin user. So what can the Dustin user do? So the Dustin user, if we do sudo l, the Dustin user may run the following commands on this box. As root with no password, you can run user bin SSH-Agent. So what is this program here? Let's answer the question. So we're going privilege escalation sudo SSH-Agent. So what is the sudo SSH-Agent program? The SSH-Agent program is a background utility that manages private keys used for SSH authentication. If the SSH-Agent program can be run with sudo, we can escalate our privileges by using a command similar to the one above. So we just run sudo SSH-Agent and then we run /bin/. So I'm not exactly sure how this gets us a shell, but apparently this is the command. So let's try this out. So sudo SSH-agent and -bin/. Okay, so I think this is the command we're going to do. Great. If anybody's curious where I get these commands from, I get them from the GTFObins GitHub project. And this is a repository of how to escalate privileges with different Linux programs. So you've got a search bar over here. So for example, we've got sudo permissions with SSH-Agent. So we can just look this up and we select which permissions we have with the program. So for example, we've got sudo here. It says if the binary is allowed to run as superuser by sudo, it does not drop the elevated privileges and may be used to access the file system, escalate, or maintain privileged access. So this is the string that we're provided. And then we're going to give this command. It says permission denied. Okay, let's try something different. So SSH-Agent, and we're going to do /bin/bash. And then we ask, who am I? It says we're root. Awesome. I guess we needed to include the name of the binary we wanted to run. So we are now root, which means we get to run this redeem here.
What are you? I'm system root.
All right, so we managed to completely compromise the system. That's great. So, okay, so now that we're the root user, we're very close to finishing today's exercise. The only thing we need to do to finish is we need to move into the root directory, and we need to read the root.txt flag over here. But we're not going to read it in the traditional sense because the people over at the VulNyx platform have requested that we do not read flag contents on walkthroughs and videos and live streams. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to read root.txt, but redirect the output of the command into a file called iRead_root.txt. So after we do that, we're going to run the md5 sum on both of these files. And we're going to see that the file hash for both of these files are the same, which means we were able to access the root.txt file and then create this file over here called iRead_root.txt, which means we finished the exercise. Thank you very much for watching this guided walkthrough of the agent challenge from the VulNyx platform. But until next time, HackerFrogs out!
Hey there, HackerFrogs! Are you enjoying this workshop? Learning new concepts and skills? If so, there's a way you can support the channel, and it's totally free. Just click on the subscribe button below the video. Also, click on the like button. And if you have questions or comments on this workshop, please leave them below the video. Thanks for listening. And now, back to our scheduled programming.